Let's get scratching.
We got an explosive broadcast coming to you. Listen up. Sega games, just keep playing them.
We're back. It's the SEGAbits Swingin Report Show. Live. Get ready for Sega interviews and news.
I stand still alone that twilight. Outside of city lights I found some.
Hello and welcome to the SEGAbits Swingin Report Show, October edition. And on this episode, we are going to be taking a look at Sega Pico drawing programs. Now, we've done something like this in the recent past, where I was joined by a guest and we looked at the Sega printer. And we were the only people on Earth operating a Sega printer in the year of, I believe, 2022 at that moment. And I feel like right now we might be the only people like streaming a Sega Pico. I mean, you know, think about it. Like, how many people have a Sega Pico turned on right now? This might be the only instance, and you're here witnessing history. But yeah, before we get into the drawings and before I bring on our guest, it's a little Pico education. So the Sega Pico, it released in, if I had the information up, it would be helpful. No, it released in 1993 in Japan. It retailed for 16,000 yen, but when it eventually released to the US in 1994, it was $160. So that's, I don't know if that's a hefty price to pay for one of these, but nowadays you can still buy them, but for between $100 and $150. So they really haven't gone up or down in price. But what are they? So they are... I think some people incorrectly refer to the Pico as like a home console. It is a home console in the sense that it can plug into your TV and play games, but it's really an educational device. It does not sit up there alongside the Saturn and the Dreamcast and the Genesis. Like, you're not going to be seeing it kind of slotting in between the Genesis and the Dreamcast, or the Genesis and the Saturn. Having said that, it is definitely up there in its own unique category. And because it has a library of games that I guess could rival the 32X, maybe, that's saying something. But in any case, I think now is a good time to bring on our guest. And as soon as they unmute themselves, I will bring them in, because nothing's worse than having someone talking and you can't hear what their lips are saying. But here we are. We have Steve Apoc Lakowitz joining us again.
How's it going?
Oh, wow.
Oh, we got drops now. Nice.
Pico Squad loves you. Yeah, but Steve, you've been on the show a few times. We had you on for an interview. We had you on for the printer show, and now you're back for another exciting episode, this time focusing on hardware. I talked about the Pico a little bit at the top of the show, but before we get into it, do you have any like experience or memories of this? Were you aware of this at the time in 1994?
I remember it being like heavily marked down at Kmart at one point, like really heavily marked down at Kmart.
Right.
Like that was kind of and it's one of those things where it's like, I think like there was actually. So I'm trying to put timelines together, but I think that they actually did have some of the units available at Funkoland, like way towards the end of the life of it, if I recall. So like that was kind of my exposure to it. I think as kind of like a Sega kid, the idea that there's an Ekko the Dolphin game for it made me think that I have to play it, even though like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I need this because there's an Ekko the Dolphin game. And like, I think like if you bought some like of the later Sega Genesis games, there'd be inserts that would show the Pico lineup as well too. So I think that was my awareness in terms of actually using or operating one. No.
Yeah.
I never had the pleasure of doing so.
The Pico released at a very crowded time for Sega. In 1994, they were supporting 94, 95. They were supporting the Genesis 32X, Sega CD, Saturn, Pico, Game Gear. They also released a something called Pocket Arcade, which is a line of Tiger-branded electronics. They had the IR 7000 communicator, and they had Sega Pods. And these were all things that you could go into a store and purchase. And that's a very insane lineup. Like, even in Brazil, the Master System was still being sold. So really, everything from 1986 through to 1995 that Sega had released was still being produced and sold in stores. I mean, considering the only one not there is Dreamcast, it's pretty wild. Like, that's too much.
I feel like a lot of that, you kind of look at that too, because I mean, at that time, 94, and I might misspeak here, but I'm going to try to remember exactly. I think NES was still being supported at that time too. So
right.
It's a really weirdly crowded market.
Yeah.
You know, like we're only a little bit away from the N64 like popping out. PlayStation
Right.
is around, you know, is soon enough. 3DO, Jaguar, like everyone's throwing it themselves. Pippin, you know, everyone's throwing themselves into the you know, CDI even. They're all throwing their hats in. So it was like, I always think of like the 90s as being kind of like the age of like, what's the gimmick, or like we're gonna have some gimmick gaming, like. You know, and Nintendo kept it very clean, but you know, Sega and NEC were going back and forth with how many add-ons they can add to their, you know,
Right.
their various consoles. Here's a CD system. Here's a Super CD system. Here's an extra reader. You know, like just crazy things that they were doing as they were kind of duking it out for that second spot.
Right.
And it's just so interesting to. I mean, Pico has all the hallmarks of something I consider that Sega would do, right? It's educational, which is kind of cool. There was always educational games, and some of the companies that worked on here made educational games for Sega Genesis, so that was an easy way to go. They did have a light tablet previously, right? The one that was used on the, I guess the Mark III had a light tablet system that was like a basic, like straight up, like it was clear and you could write on it. I think I have that somewhere. So it kind of makes sense to have like some kind of combined element of all these things, right? Especially since this system is really based on, you know, the Motorola 68K processor, which is the exact same processor that's in a Genesis. It uses the SN7659889, sorry, SN76589.
You're going to get corrected in the comments now.
I know. I'm fully aware.
No one's going to correct you on that.
I know. Well, or just known as the SN7, and the SN7 is the sound chip that's in the Sega Master System. The stereo version is in the Game Gear. So it's like me and on the Retro Game Audio podcast that we used to do, we always used to joke that Sega just had like a bin of extra parts, and they're like, what are we going to do with these? You know, like,
right, exactly.
Let's just put these together. We have these extra processors, we have this stuff, and if someone feels passionate about it, we'll use them. And so like it doesn't, you know, Pico's interesting because it is like a Sega Genesis without certain features, basically.
Exactly. And it utilizes, like you said, a lot of different features from previous hardware, as well as some new things. Like there's these little sensors, light sensors at the top that can tell if a page is there. And so as you open it, another sensor becomes unveiled, and that tells the machine, you know, go to level 4, page 4, you know, go to page 6, etc. And it goes up to, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those are actually built into the holes are in here. So you can see the holes there. And then the actual hardware is behind there. And I guess the closest thing I can think from Sega is the Samba de Amigo maracas, because those used sensors that could tell the distance. I don't know if it's the same, but it's a really cool piece of tech. I think it, you know, I think anyone who puts this on a list of like the worst consoles, like it's not. It's a very well built, inventive, innovative piece of hardware that did its job. It didn't really take off in the West, but in Japan, the Pico was continued on as the advanced Pico Bina, which was like Pico 2 basically, and that went on, I think, until the 2010s, late 2010s. It was the last piece of hardware really that Sega was supporting through their Sega Toys line. But yeah, and it's not for you. Like, it's not for us. It's for kids.
Yeah.
But we, as aficionados of the hardware and of the company, can appreciate it on that level. But there is fun stuff to find within the games. And one of the major things is the drawing program. The drawing program, of course, if you're going to have a stylus, you're going to want to implement a drawing program. And of the 20 games that were released in the United States, 17 of them had drawing programs. And if we get to it, I actually have a bonus drawing program from Japan that we can take a look at too. But before we get to the main event, I wanted to play this little quick commercial that they aired at the time. Let's check this out.
A child's mind is like a sponge, absorbing everything.
Middle-aged men who want to be teenage girls next.
So make it the right things with Pico. It turns TV into your kid's first computer and turns on the power of their imaginations. With Storybook software, turn the page and images come alive on TV. Kids learn numbers, music, reading,
D-O-G-Dog.
and more. Most kids spend 3 hours a day glued to TV. Pico makes it a smart 3 hours.
So that's the commercial. It was definitely fits in with a lot of the Sega commercials you saw at the time. Like it's no different from really the stuff you'd see with like Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles. But there was a phone number there, and as is tradition on the show, I have to ask, because my phone's being used as my second camera, I have to ask you to call 1-800-KID-PICO, put it on speaker, and let's find out who picks up. Might be a sex hotline. It might be a casino. It might be a karate dojo.
800. It was I know. I'm going to show
1-800-KID-PICO.
Okay, I have to figure out how to dial the letters on here. Just transfer them that real quick here.
I'll let you take care of that. Well, I
Yeah,
get
you
things
can keep
situated here. So while you're getting that, I'm going to show everyone the setup we've got going. So here's the screen. We're going to have Steve on that side, and I'm just going to be drawn away over here. So this is actually a good little bit of housekeeping as he gets that going. And I know this is going out there as a audio podcast. It's not going to be a very audio-friendly show, I'll admit, but I'm going to try to be as descriptive as possible as we go through this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through the 17 games. I'm going to spend a few minutes on each one. I really don't want to go too crazy because, 17 times 5 can turn into 90 minutes or so. So we're going to keep it in check. But do you have that number ready? Are we ready?
Yeah, hopefully it's not someone's like private personal number or anything.
It
but
shouldn't be if it's 1-800.
Okay, gonna dial it. Put it on speaker. Let's see. Sorry if I'm showing my technology here. Let's see. Why is it not dialing? There.
Hello, and please listen carefully as our menu options may have changed. Calls are recorded for quality assurance. We're very excited to tell you about a special promotion for select callers. This will only take a moment. By
Is it
answering
Kid
just
Pico?
a few questions, we will find out if this offer is right for you.
What is the offer?
Are you or is someone in your household 50 years of age or older? Press 1 for yes. If you or someone in your household
No.
is 50 years of age or older.
2.
Otherwise, just for calling in today, you have the opportunity to receive special pricing on TV, internet, and phone services.
Whoa.
Okay, so it's a cell phone provider. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
Oh, pretty fun.
yeah, it wasn't as exciting as like a sex hotline, but what can you do? So the first one we're going to be taking a look at is A Year at Poo Corner, and you can't copyright strike this episode now because Poo is in the public domain as we record this. So let's see what we got here. Look at that. All right, I'm going to shift over to art mode. So there's A Year at Poo Corner, and here is the coloring page, and they'll typically have transition scenes where you'll see the characters like walking over to the next page. Okay. So this is what we're dealing with. So there is a little booklet screen here. I don't have it showing, but you can see a little bit of it here. It's balloons. Let me see, I could actually probably slide it over just a little. But yeah, there's balloons, there's little colors, Pooh's down here. So there's going to be things like a music box. You can change the music. You can tap on some of the characters and it might do something. You can see them actually in the middle of the screen there showing up. Pencil sizes. So let's see if we can actually... I don't know... What I find very frustrating about this one is that they already fill the screen with a bunch of junk. And there's absolutely no... You can stamp people, but it's... you see that? So you make a stamp, and then it makes a Pooh. I'm going to fiddle around with this. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about Pooh?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, and some of you may have grown up with this or whatnot, but my little brother used to watch something. It was like a live action Winnie the Pooh called Poo Corner, and I have to imagine that this has something to do with that idea of Poo Corner. It was kind of trippy with Winnie the Pooh in a big costume and everything. Something that's really interesting is that it was said that this was actually bundled with the Pico system on the Sega Retro wiki. There's no way that I can tell that that's actually the case. Simply because, there's no way I can tell that's actually the case. I've looked at all the boxes that have possibly come out of the Pico. There's only 2 different boxes, and there were 2 different bundles. Yeah, I know. There's 2 different boxes and 2 different bundles, right? And one came with the Richard Scarry game that we're going to go over eventually. Yeah. And the other one came with nothing. And it kind of showed the Mickey Mouse game that was there, and had, it said, buy this game. It doesn't include a game. Here's an example of a game. So there's no real box that shows that there's any indication that Winnie the Pooh was ever bundled in there. Might be something that needs to be checked out on the Sega Retro Wiki to, well, I couldn't find any Japanese boxes that indicated that that was the case too. So it might just be an error over there that needs to be fixed. In addition to this, there you go. It's filling in.
There's a hole. There was a hole.
Oh no, you got.
And it takes forever to fill.
You got Emma's paint in there.
It's still filling.
That's cool how it kind of designs and does it. This is also, it's interesting. Like there's two main studios that produce games for the Pico, at least the American Pico, right? Right. One of them, in Japan, there's a whole bunch of different people, but interesting, only about 3 of the games total are actually first-party Sega games. The rest of them are all done by 2 different studios that Sega kind of put everything out towards. One is Nova Trade International, also known as Appaloosa Interactive. If you guys are real nerds, you'd probably, or big fans of Ekko the Dolphin, you'll know that that's the studio based in Hungary that did Ekko the Dolphin for the entire show, or for the entire, all the Ekko the Dolphin titles, basically. And they did about 10 of the titles that were supposed to be there. And in fact, all the music composed for these games, like this one even, is actually composed by the 2 composers for Ekko the Dolphin. Not the Ekko the Dolphin CD, which was a beautiful soundtrack. But no, I love the Ekko the Dolphin, like unironically.
No, I agree. I do love it. But you're talking about a great soundtrack while this is going on.
Well, my favorite is that this is actually written and composed by Attila Hagar. The first name is Attila, yes, so this is very mighty music. And also Andras Magyari, they've done tons, they've worked together a lot, and they were kind of like the main composers for anything that was, whoa, wait a second here. Wow. Look at all the extra stuff you can just, that's really cool.
It's not a rainbow, it's everything.
And it's like a total random thing, yeah.
I'm going to pause you for a second. I'm going to call, that's all for Pooh right now. Okay. But it's a pretty cool drawing program. Can you tell me who developed A Year at Poo Corner?
A Year at Poo Corner, that was the Ekko the Dolphin studio, which would be Nova Trade International.
And they did quite a few Sega Pico games, correct?
Yeah, they did 10 of them. And there's only 20, right, on the list. So they did half of them. And another side note I put here for Nova Trade International, they also handled that. If you, Barry, you might recall this, that weird MS-DOS Simpsons arcade game port.
Yes.
That, like,
yes.
They did that port. The one that's like fabled, from a long time ago.
I brought up the developer because you're going to see a lot of sameness in some of the drawing programs because they basically recycle elements and they recycle what you can do. That Poo one was pretty impressive, but it had a little bit of a learning curve. Like, it didn't present me with a blank screen initially. I had to figure out how to erase it. This one, however, this one's a little different. This is the Mother Goose one. This is one of the rarer ones, and by rare I mean it's not like these are so much expensive as they are hard to come by on eBay. They don't go up for sale all that much. This one's interesting, though, because it's not a existing IP from my knowledge. It's just like a Mother Goose game, and there actually is a second one, too. So there's actually two in the series. This one is The Great Counting Caper, and then the other one, I believe, is this one. But it's this, like, weird goose lady, which you'll see here. See her? She's like doing a little disco dance. But this one's got a very heavy coloring book vibe. You got your environments. You got little animated kids. You tap a video camera here and you can see the kids waving. You're going to often...
Those kids slide like really smooth. That looked like a really smooth slide across the screen. Like it wasn't janky or anything. Just out of curiosity. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's really...
That's not bad at all. Wow.
I mean, you're going to see a little lag between this, but where I am right now, it's 1-to-1. And we talked offline, too, about how there's so many opportunities here with, like, indie developers. Because can you imagine a shmup where you're actually operating the ship like this? And it's like 1-to-1 super, I guess, what would you call that, analog?
Analog manipulation, I guess,
it just feels really, really good. This one's pretty cool, though. I mean, you got the colors. You got there's only one size for the pen or pencil. There's a paintbrush, which is thicker. There's a pencil, which is thinner. You got your eraser, paint bucket. Now there's one. Oh, look at that. So you can actually use the buttons down here.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can make super straight lines.
Yeah.
Stamps. So there's a whole stamp gallery, I guess. Oh, it's like a sticker book that's existing within. That's cool. So overall, this is a pretty basic one. Nothing really stands out to me. I think the fact that there's no, like, it's not a franchise or anything. It's just these, like, weird Mother Goose characters. It doesn't really excite me when it comes to the stickers. But, yeah, that's Adventures in Letterland with Jack and Jill. Like I said, one of the harder to find titles. But you can see here, like, this is pretty much how you would see a lot of these coloring apps. This next one, Crayola. Is there anything you can tell us about a crayon brand having their own video game?
This was also done by the Norvo Trade team over there. I find it funny, and I said in my notes here that there's two of the 20 games for Pico are something about crayons.
Yeah,
which, like, I mean, it's all drawing, but the fact that it's crayon based is really funny. It's pretty much the exact. So this is kind of an aside too that I discovered here, and maybe people who are watching know this, but in general, so any game that's published by Sega, right, has like an MK number, right, like MK dash something, blah 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 blah. So right. A lot of these games that were published, not published by Sega, especially the last one we just saw, Letterland with Jack and Jill, actually has some kind of different moniker distinction. So it's like that one's like called like T182010 or something like that, where everything else is like part of the goes right in there with Barry. But yeah, so it's interesting because the two games that we just said, like Adventures in Letterland and this Crayola Crayons game, were both only exclusives to the US and Korea for whatever reason. They had no equivalent in Japan. So it makes sense. Crayola is an American brand, right? So it may not necessarily resonate as much. but they were created specifically for the U.S. market, for that point. There's a lot of kind of back and forth as to if some of these games were developed for Japanese audiences and we just can't find them because there's so little known about it. But as of the current time, no one's really tracked down these games as being available for the Japanese Pico. So these things do some really cool stuff, though. Like, I mean, look at that.
I will say Crayola right now is at the top of my list as
is
one of the
awesome.
best drawing programs because, and I mean it fits because they're the Crayon brand. They better not screw this up.
Yeah.
But there is different features. So there's this mirrored one where
so
what
cool.
you kind of switch sides. So now I'm on the bottom. Now I'm at the top. There's also I'm touching it with my finger. There's this one, which is 4 of them, and you can make these cool patterns.
That is really cool.
I'll try drawing. Actually, I'll try drawing one of our Patreon picks right now with a 4-up. This one, it'll be a rocket ship. I'll do a rocket ship from Choo Choo Rocket. This is from Sonicu. So let's see if I can draw a rocket 4 times.
This is hurting my brain.
It's kind of like modern art. You see that? That's a rocket ship.
What's a pixel distance? Like, how close can you, if you're drawing and you're trying to be really if you're trying to draw another line next to it, like how close can you get next to it, like in terms of accuracy? I'm very curious. And again, there's probably like 1 or 2 pixels.
It's quite accurate, but then again, I do graphic design work.
Well, you're the perfect person to be doing this then.
Right. So I've done this stuff on much better tablets. It looks like an iron. Look at that. It's like an old iron.
There you go.
Look at that. You see, this is actually like Spaceballs, right? Where you think it's a spaceship or a rocket, but it's an iron. But yeah, I mean, I just want to... I think it says a lot that I just want to keep playing with this one. I don't know what the other... Oh, look at this. Oh! Isn't that cool? You can do so many fun, trippy things. This one's actually legitimately a lot of fun. I think things are going to get...
The fact that it's so open, too, is it like it has like the ability to, like, just thinking about it from elements of doing visual effects for like a concert or something, you could probably like do something in this. Like, if you learned how to do it, you probably could do some pretty cool effects in here. That's crazy.
This alone it's a plaid. It like makes plaid so it finds corresponding colors. And now I'm going to do this on top of it. That's super cool.
Awesome. That's really cool. That's like,
all right.
And it's like creative use of development too. Yeah, this is definitely one of the top ones so far.
Yeah, there's a sponge too. I don't know what the sponge does, but yeah, you can do all these different modes, but you can layer them. So you could do these trippy patterns, and then you could like draw Sonic, on top of it. There's Sonic. That's me drawing Sonic real quick.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's Crayola, and I know I broke my rule of 5 minutes per game, but that's this one. I actually want to keep playing this, so I'm going to set this one aside. That's really cool. You were talking about Ekko the dolphin. He's going to be the next one. It's Ekko Jr. in the Great Ocean Treasure Hunt. Ekko Jr. had quite a few games. I believe it was on Game Gear. It was on the Genesis. Tell us a little bit about Ekko Jr.
It's funny because this one, there's not as much information about this one, despite it being like, quote unquote first party, or like, for Sega at least.
Right.
But the odd part about this, and I guess, is that this game is considered a first party published game in the US. So this was published by Sega here, but published by Imagineer in Japan, and also published by Tectoy in Brazil, of course, because was who was handling that.
Right.
But just interesting that this was released in every single market. So any market that had a Pico, you could get this game. Some of the last games we played, like Crayola and again Adventures in Letterland, those are only available in the U.S. and assumably Korea, if the information I have is correct. So this is would be considered more, I guess, in terms of games we played so far, one of the more flagship games, along with, I guess, Poo Corner as well. But this is an IP that people recognize, right? Because it's Ekko the Dolphin. It's done by the Ekko the Dolphin team, which is pretty cool. With the music done by the Ekko the Dolphin team,
right? So
this is like how the Ekko the Dolphin people would do, Pico. It seems like you're playing with, it's very similar to some of the other stuff.
It's the Poo people, though,
yep.
Right? So
it's the
you're
same.
seeing the same. It's all the same sort of things. The same stamp system. It even starts off with like things all over the screen, which actually is like I just want a clear screen. And I'm actually gonna shut this one off so I can show this. So this is what makes it really hard to use. They have each drawing utensil or tool is, it's like like how the Little Mermaid would like grab an octopus and it would become like a thing she'd use. Like it's really hard to tell, but those are actually the tools. And I don't know what an eraser is. Is an eraser like a white crab? So
You're not using your imagination enough,
It's, I guess, it's cool, but it's just like the Pooh one. Let's move on to Magic Crayons. This is the other crayon one, so it better not disappoint. If it does...
Oh, there's the color miser. There he is.
Oh, he's taking our color.
Here, I'll read the color from the back of the manual because I thought this was really funny. Beware, the color miser is on the loose, vacuuming up colors wherever he goes. Your children will learn about shapes, colors, patterns, and more as their artistic expression takes over. They'll exercise their imagination, creating toys and recoloring over 15 different scenes. Using colors from the story and their own original art, your children will create and animate their own cartoons. Oh man, that color miser, he's just...
He got me.
He got us all. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, man. What happened?
That's okay. We're back. Let's see what Magic Crayons brings us. Now, the pages themselves, it's like kids in a room. That's cool. But what we want to see is the drawing program. And it's very, very basic. There are crayons here. I'm going to move this over just a little so you guys can see. But yeah, there's crayons here. There are... So you pick your color. Pencil seems to be...
Wait, it makes a noise when you draw?
Yeah. It's really annoying.
That is very annoying.
Pencil is thin. Listen to that.
It sounds like Mario's going to start flying.
I know, right? And then there's the paint bucket, which
That's
actually...
a pretty quick fill, actually.
Let's see what a big... But see...
It
sounds like I'm playing Atari.
This is actually a Sega first-party game, by the way. This is developed by Sega and published by Sega, so...
There's that...
Oh, man,
you know what he would hate? He would hate being... No! Stop it! No, don't make me colors! I hate colors. Uh-oh. The Pico games are falling. Yeah, not too much to say about this one. It's not that great, actually. You can tap the pictures and change them, but it only does 2 up at a time. I don't know what the camera does. Oh, maybe it let's see what the camera does. Camera, I don't know, but it's honestly...
It's supposed to animate your own cartoon, so there's got to be an animation portion to it.
Really?
So.
Oh, no. Yeah, I gotta say, Magic Crayons is not doing it for me. It's actually the most basic drawing program I've seen on here. There's not even a sticker function. So I'm gonna put that over on that side. Crayola is the one to beat. But let's see if Math Antics with 101 Dalmatians can dethrone Crayola. If it plays. Okay, there we go. Ooh, look at that animation.
That is nice.
That's not bad. And 101 Dalmatians, they also had a game on the Dreamcast. It was based on the movie sequel. The live-action movie sequel, 102, yeah.
All right, let's see what kind of math antics we're going to get into here. Oh, no, right. You cranked that up. You cranked that easy? No, we got to crank that up. We got to go to hard here. We need some difficult.
Oh, so the kids are... That's kind of cool. Look, they...
There's some nice sprite work there. That's nice sprite
How
work.
would a coloring mode be hard, though?
I don't know.
So this is the transition scene. I'm already getting the sense that this is going to be very much like the other ones that we looked at. But I think color-wise, it looks really nice. it's showing a little more vivid on the stream, but here it's a lot more muted. It feels like the Disney cartoon. But let's... Okay. Oh, so it's 4. Oh, so there's a mini game here where you actually do paint by numbers. See that?
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. But I want to color. Alright, so here's our coloring mode. We have our little puppies up here that we can pick. There's the TV, which I believe are animated stamps.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So you can put little puppies down at the bottom and dogs. You can change the background.
Oh, that's fun. You know what we're going to have to do with one of these, and it's a very unfortunate thing, but we're going to have to see if there's a limit to how many sprites you can put on the page at one time at some point.
I bet there is.
We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do it. It's got to be done.
Well, there's got to be a limit to the animated ones. Yeah, you can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like 5. That's interesting.
Oh,
This is
look
pretty
at
cool,
that.
though. Oh,
This is the paint fill. So instead of making it going woo, 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 it does a little clock to show you it's actually working.
That's kind of nice. This game is from '96 too, so it's a little bit later in the life of the system. And it's another Novo Trade game, so it's from that same studio, but
Yeah.
it seems a little different. Or is it going to have the same features here when you start to just do the?
Well, you
freehand?
gotta have a Dalmatian pen, which is not as exciting as you'd think it is. It's like a broken pencil, basically. But overall, I would say this is fine. Nothing to stand out there, but I think it has the benefit of actually being 101 Dalmatians, so you know who the characters are on the stamps. You're not just like, oh, it's the color miser taking all our color. The next one is Mickey. We got Mickey's Blast to the Past. Let's blast this one in. And this is actually, this is the one that was not a pack-in, but they promoted it on the box, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
94, so it's early in the life of things.
And Mickey and Donald Duck actually had a lot of games on the Pico in Japan. I have a Donald one here with me, and there were a few other Mickey ones as well. But look at this. It's him meeting the Wright brothers. Look at that.
Is there a way to get Mickey to talk? Will he talk? Because there's supposed to be a voice.
I'm just hitting him.
Let's see. What is this? Oh, we're doing a little science here.
That sounded good.
So in addition to the like Sega Master System sound, there's actually a pretty powerful ADPCM chip in there, which allows for pretty clear audio, like very clear, like very modern audio. So voices should sound really good. It could also be used to actually write music with it, but I don't think anything's ever done that before.
See,
the other thing too,
no one's doing anything on this. I don't think anyone ever has.
I mean, it would be so cool. There's definitely, for the audio chip, it would be very interesting. The other thing, too, that's really cool about this is the Mickey that we heard there is actually Wayne Allwine, who was Mickey Mouse. So they actually got the Mickey's actual voice. All the additional voices are done by Corey Burton, too, which is Dale from Chip and Dale, Gruffy Gummy, like a bunch of different characters. So this is kind of lovingly crafted with a little bit of the extras in there, especially because the voice chip is kind of an optional thing. And up until now, I don't think we've seen a game that's really utilized it. So,
well, I'm doing another Patreon pick. It's Bayonetta. So here she is. There she is. I think she's pregnant. There she is. That looks like Bayonetta, doesn't it? It looks like, You know what it is? It's I'm gonna make it Bayonetta Daisy Duck.
Oh, I see how you're doing this.
Look at that.
This is impressive.
Yeah. So that Bayonetta, that is for Daniel Andres. He wanted Bayonetta, but I had to make it Daisy Duck. Daisy. There we go.
How fast is the fill? Oh, did we already test the fill on this one?
We should. Let's see. There's no Donald. No Donald.
I guess if they
stamp.
didn't have someone who voices Donald, they probably wouldn't want Donald in there. I don't know.
He's like, check out this one. This is a good-looking duck. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Corey Burton also did that. What's it called? The voice for that character as well. So I think
Ludwig von Drake.
Yep, Ludwig von Drake. Yeah. So there might be actual voices from him in there somewhere here.
There's a line tool. That's kind of fun.
What is with the giant cursor though for that?
Ooh, look at that.
Whoa! You're breaking the game. That's beautiful though.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. Now let's fill it in. Let's do the bucket.
That is so cool.
This just looks like art.
It's a slower fill-in that we saw, but
yeah,
again, we have a different pattern though. That pattern is so cool.
That's pretty neat. I like how it's kind of seductively covering her. You know, it's doing something for me. So that is Mickey Mouse. Overall, it doesn't break any ground, but it has Mickey in it, so you're going to know who the stamps are. You can have some fun with that. I did like some of those backgrounds. I didn't play with them, but there were like backgrounds that you could draw on top of. So this one's actually going to go with the Crayola one, just because I feel like it did a little bit more.
I would agree. That's one of the better ones we've seen so far.
Now, Musical Zoo would be next, but Musical Zoo does not have a drawing program. So, unfortunately, we can't experience that. But we can see Pocahontas, Riverbend Adventures. And this one I actually really enjoy because there is a mini game in here. First off, I think the graphics are pretty cool. But let me see if I can get to it. There's a pottery game. Let me see if I can find it.
Sorry, just had a little kid interruption there.
I've got those all the time. Let's see if we can play.
Actually, let me attend to that real quick.
Oh, not a problem. I'm going to be doing some pottery here. So this one I love because look at this. So it has it spinning around, and then you can go in. Look at that, and you can make pots, and then you can change your tool. Look at that, and you can make. I don't know what it is. Is this is it a bowl? I don't know. You can also clear it and then do a new one. Let's see if we can do a person's face. Like a profile. There's their mouth. There's their chin. So, this one's pretty cool. I enjoy this one. You can even... I think you can... Oh, and then you make your pot and then you decorate it. Yeah, so overall, that's pretty fun. But the drawing application, pretty basic. It has, thick. It has your thin. It has different sized erasers, which I don't always see. There is stamps. So we have Pocahontas, and we have, was it John Smith? I think it's John Smith. You can change the background here, different background colors. You can play Pocahontas music. There are little stamps of her animal friends. Remember the talking tree in that? That was so weird. Grandmother Willow. Let's see who else is there. So, and then here's Chief Powhatan. Chief Peloton. There he is. Bunch of him. Just a bunch of chiefs. But yeah, overall, that's Pocahontas. This was in the U.S., Europe, and Brazil. It's from Real Time Associates, so you're going to see the similarities in other drawing applications here. But yeah, overall, I think this one's really cool. It's like the other ones, but I think that pottery one is just... I'm going to go back to it, actually. I think... are you sure you lose your picture? Yeah, I'm fine. I just think the pottery game is really cool. Let's go back to it. Here we go. So we'll bring Steve back on. He can Have you seen this? So
No.
I already went through the drawing program. It's pretty basic, but this one is so cool. Look at this. So you can make 3D pottery. See that? And then you can kind of... And it doesn't add to it. It only goes away. See? Well, I guess you can add to it. Never mind. Well, it's because you're shaping it. You're shaping the clay.
Yeah.
And then you can go in here and actually decorate it. So we'll put a...
Oh, that's so cool.
And it does it on the edge. See that? It doesn't go over.
This is like a game that, like, there's definitely games that my kids play on their tablet that are pretty much the same thing as this, where you're just putting stickers on a bunch of stuff. So it's like, it's interesting to see it, you know. That's so cool. Yeah, to have like a layered surface so that it's only interactive in the front.
Yeah, and I think this is the only art program that has something outside of the coloring mode that actually outdoes it. Like on a technical level, I think it's really cool. And I remember Pocahontas too on the Genesis was really, really well done in terms of the animation of the characters and the background. So it's kind of cool that the Pico version is just as nice. This next one is Richard Scarry's Huckle and Ly's Busiest Day Ever, and this one is notable because it was the pack-in title for the Pico. Not all Picos had a pack-in title, but if they did, it would be this one.
Real-Time Associates is really cool too. I mean, it's really funny because on my old podcast we actually interviewed David Warhol, who is, you know, the guy who runs Real-Time Associates, and we never thought of ever asking him about anything with Pico. Wait, is that all voice that I just heard there?
Yeah.
Really?
Everyone enjoys playing in the park.
That sounds
Everyone
so good.
enjoys playing in the park.
Yeah.
I mean, just for that era though, and being off a cartridge, like that's that sounds good. I mean, and like Real-Time Associates is always known for pushing sound limits, right? They did the Nintendo Maniac Mansion game, you know, and they're basically sound geniuses when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it makes a lot of sense that they would be the ones who'd be utilizing a lot more of the vocal features and stuff like that on here too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the voices are really cool. I think drawing-wise, it's very basic.
It's the same as like,
You're going to see the same across all of these, but, you know, you can, as you can see here, you can get pretty accurate. The one thing I never see here is an undo button. But there is an eraser, obviously, so if you make a mistake, you're going to have to actively go in there and erase it rather than undoing what you did. So there's Sonic. And Sonic Superstars is out this week. I haven't had a chance to play it too much, even though they gave me a review copy last Friday. I've just been so busy. But I did pick it up for Switch, and I have it on PS4, and overall I enjoy it. I'd like to review it, but it's one of those situations where once I get to the review, it's going to be like 3 weeks out, and everyone's already made up their mind on it. But, you know, what can I say? So there's Sonic. He's going, what? You didn't review my game, Barry? You reviewed them all for years. That's kind of fun.
These sound effects with the Phil, they're just killing me. It's just killing me. It's hilarious.
Now, I didn't notice this before, but some of them don't have white as a color. There is no white. And now that I look at it, there's no eraser either. I don't think this has an eraser. So, yeah, if I want to... Oh, wait, that's the eraser. The eraser... Oh, that's the funniest thing. So the eraser is, and it's hard to see, but it is a... you know when you paint a wall with those rolling things?
Yeah, rolling, yeah.
But it's a rolling thing in reverse. It seems like it's unrolling the paint.
Interesting.
Which makes no sense. It's like you tell someone, draw an eraser, and they go, oh, it's a reverse pencil. Like, that's what they're... I don't like it.
I mean, like, it's interesting because like the whole point of this is to teach kids about certain things, right? And kindergarten, even in 1994, you would have erasers, you would have all these kinds of things like at your disposal. So like, from a perspective of early childhood development, and this is a really funny question, who did Sega talk to decide that this is the UI and interface they wanted to use? Like, did they have a bunch of kids in a room saying like, "Oh yeah, it's an opposite pencil, and that's what we want," or like,
I'm
who
not
was consulted? Like,
I'm not exactly sure. I know that there are parent guides, so they actually did go the extra step to have something written up, and I'm sure they hired educators, maybe curriculum designers to take a look at these and write up something, but. That's a very good question. I'd like to actually interview someone who designed a Pico game to ask if Sega did have anyone that they required them to have on their staff or required them to work with.
A lot of the games list like a lot of testers. Oh, here we go. Yeah,
this is the Magic School Bus. Look at that. So who did this one? This is
Nova Trade.
Okay.
And this has the distinction of, like I mentioned, there was Hagar and Magyari, the two composers for this. This is one of the only ones that's actually composed by Magyari proper. So if it's a little weirder in terms of composition, it's a different composer than all the other Nova Trade games.
Well, there's a really weird sticker book here.
It looks just like me. Are you drawing a picture of me, Barry?
I am. Look at that.
What is this music, too, man?
It's very Well, that's why I'm drawing like this. Look at this, like, demon boy made out of fish.
That boy lives.
And it froze. I froze the game.
Nice. That's the first time that's happened, right?
Yeah, and I didn't bump anything. I think I just... I was trying to do the rainbow brush after there were like a dozen stickers on the screen. Or You know what? I think this game in general just has issues. Overall, though, very basic drawing program. I know what I'm going to get. And also, it's the only Pico game I've had that has actually been freezing up on me. That's kind of surprising. Next up, we have
what does the cartridge attachment actually look like when you put it in? Is it looks basically the same base?
On the outside, it's this, and on the inside, it's kind of like the inside of your Genesis, but you put it in, and then it's on like a hinge. Let's see if this works. There we go. It almost looks like you're playing a Genesis game, and then Pico jumps up. This is a very late one, 1997.
Oh, 97, wow.
And people think the Pico had a short shelf life, but 94, 95, 96, 97, it's not bad. Listen to that.
All right.
Select a level.
Oh, okay. So my question is if this game was going to have voice. Because there's Big Bird's Hide and Speak for Nintendo that also had a bunch of voice in it. So I was curious to see if we'd hear some more Big Bird telling us to do stuff.
I'm trying to see if Cookie Monster talks.
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, for whatever reason, the Big Bird stuff is the same thing they used for the NES one or something like that.
Oh, it's possible. Here's Ernie.
Does it make a barking dog noise when you switch between the...
No, it's like... like... So you got your thick pencils, you got your thin ones.
Did they go for some kind of realistic-esque kind of sound when you're drawing with those tools?
It seems like it. No sounds on these. Oh, but look at this. Listen.
Ooh, that's really fun.
Oh. It's a song. ABC. So listen. Oh, C, D. So it plays a song, I guess, when you... It's like strumming little... Like, almost like strumming guitar keys or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
ABC.
like a really...
I don't know what song it's playing. I'm trying to figure these out.
Maybe there's a certain way you're supposed to go.
And then this is...
like a tracer, kind of.
Yeah, it's like connect the dots, but I'm not actually drawing that. It's like filling it in.
That's cool, though.
And then it makes your picture, and then I think you can actually fill it in.
I gotta admit, this has a lot of cool features. Like, it's not like up there with the Crayola one, but there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this one.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff to do here. Yeah. And then you can put...
And also the animated, like, things that you can drop in. 5 at a time, yep.
Yeah.
Or 4?
4 at a time. Well, 4 and then the 5th thing here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not too shabby. I expect nothing less from Jim Henson Productions. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I like the drawing mini games. You don't see that with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Next we have Smart Alex and Smart Alice. Smart Alex and Alice, Curious Kids. Let's check that out. I would always get this one confused with Jack and Jill, but Smart Alex is actually kind of the Pico mascot. You would see him on a lot of the ads. He's the little kid with like the yellow spiky hair. So the drawing program for this one, again, you've got this like sponge, which I believe is the eraser for the whole screen. You have the eraser, thick pen, thin, paint bucket, music changer, and then there's these drawers. So it's a lot like the Magic School Bus in that regard.
And this is another Novo Trade game too, so that makes sense.
So you're gonna get a lot of similarities here. Let's see. I have one more drawing from the Patreon. I have to draw Opa Opa. So let's see if I can do Opa Opa from memory. Let's see here. I should know what Opa Opa looks like. Isn't that him? There he goes. And then I'm trying to remember the colors. It's like the windshield's blue. The back is red. Bottom's green. Windshield's yellow. That's Opa Opa, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. I just looked it up. You got it right. Yep.
Nice. You can put a little shine there. And then we'll put him in the fantasy zone. Take a 30-minute break as it fills in. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's very basic. Not much to really explore there. Not bad, but I guess the different sticker books is kind of nice, but nothing really standing out to me. But we've got a good one next. We've saved the best for fifth to last. It's Sonic the Hedgehog's Game World. This one is, I think, the most memorable one for a lot of people because of the Sonic connection. It's interesting, too, because the American one removed a page. They removed the casino stage because they didn't want kids... They didn't want kids gambling. Which is unfortunate because there's a lot of really cool mini games in the casino stage, and the whole story behind this is that there's this like Eggman Tower, and you're trying to reach your way to the top. So it's a very story-based one. When you start off, you actually can play a 2-player game. You can choose your difficulty there. And the Japanese one has a third option, and I need to get my... either someone who speaks Japanese, or I need to get my Google Translate camera and see what they say, because there's a third option on the Japanese one that's not on the American one.
What shall we play?
Hey, he talks. I wonder who voiced Sonic in this. But it has Sonic music. It's interesting, too, because I believe this is before Knuckles was introduced. So it's a very rare spin-off game without Knuckles, because it came out between 92 and 93, I believe. Or maybe maybe it was in development during 93 before Knuckles. But yeah, I'll just showcase one of the games here. This is Robotnik Bop. Anyway, I'm not going to do that for another 25 seconds.
This is interesting too, because this game was, well, he's a lot of talking in this. This was actually developed by Aspect. So this was handled by the company that made all of the Game Gear Sonic games. And it's actually composed by Takafumi Miura, who is the composer for all of the Sonic, Game Gear games. So this is first party, but developed by Aspect, and should have the kind of quality you'd expect from that team that produced all of those games for the Game Gear. And especially with the composer using the same sound chip as they were using for all the Sonic games as well.
Some of the tunes that they select too are straight out of some of the games at the time.
That's true. Yeah.
Let's see what's going on here. Start. So this is a versus game. Sonic got rings. So it's kind of a game of chance. All right, Robotnik throws a ring at me and hurts me. Oh, time to hurt him. It's like a...
Bonk.
Yeah, but you can see... I think my only complaint is that the games have a lot of Oh, look at this. Do you like my mustache? Do we? Yes. Yes, we do. But the game ends on the roof. And I think if you play and win all the games on the previous stages, when you come here, something actually... See what he says? I won't lose. So this is the final stage, but you... Oh. I will beat you.
Yikes.
So I guess you can play the final stage without completing the other ones. Diamond Maze. So it's...
Bomberman?
I guess. I'm trying to get out of here, I think.
This is truly bizarre.
So we are actually going... This is the game.
He's destroying the other stages.
Yeah, these are the other stages.
As you run down the tower. That's so funny.
But we're looking for something. Oh. Oh, we're looking for the emeralds. There, I got 2. Oh, he got 2. He got 1. But I think if he gets hurt, he drops 1. No?
Cool. No?
Wonder if I can... But interestingly, I think this is the casino stage. You see it? So they didn't remove it from here. So you get a little taste of what was inside the Japanese one. But yeah, I guess if we found it, then what's the point of us? Let's see. I love how they're just trashing the place looking for Chaos Emeralds. Can I fight him? No, I guess not. Oh, I
You're
can't do
faster
any
than him,
damage to
too,
him.
interestingly. Can they respawn on stages, or?
I don't know. I think that just slows me down. Let's see. If we don't find one here, then I honestly don't know what else we're doing here. Let's see.
And you're having to do all of this with the stylus too, right?
The stylus I'm using to... Actually, I don't know if I need the stylus. No, I don't. I just use the arrow buttons. I don't know what else we're doing. I guess that's it. Oh, I did it.
There we go.
All right, let's see. This is the end of the game. Oh, the battle is over.
Wow, what a battle it was.
Okay, and then we get some little... But yeah, that's the plot to the game, is you're going to the rooftop and then you run back through and destroy the place. It's fun though. Picky, Pocky, they're all named here. Pocky actually just had an action figure come out. You can buy them at select stores with Flicky as well. There's Rocky. I like his mustache. I hope you do too. There's Cucky. Everyone loves Cucky.
Yeah.
That was fun. Oh, he's laughing. The end. That's a brief summary of what you can expect from Sonic Game World. There is one little thing. Oh, they have little different arrangements too. So it's randomized. When you start up the game, they come out and they have different patterns.
That's so cool. But
this is the least educational because it's just mini games, which I think a lot of people don't realize. I think it's like math and counting with Sonic, but it's totally not. It's actually a really fun little mini game compilation. And there's one more thing I want to try before I get to the drawing one. Let's see. All right, we're gonna be Tails this time. So we're gonna go to the end stage. If you tap the blimp, you get the credits for the game.
There you go.
Isn't that cool? So you actually get to see all the people behind it, and then you can Google them and see if they're still alive. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good mix of American and Japanese, I believe. Actually, I'm seeing a lot more Americans than anyone. Oh, there's Aspect. Here they go.
There's Aspect, yeah, and then that'll be...
Yeah, but
everyone.
It's cool, though, right? And it's rare that you actually get a lot of full names in this era. You usually would just get, like, Hero 777. But yeah, it's great if you're trying to, like, figure out who made this game and you're, like, a game historian or something. So there's a little Easter egg. But
it's interesting to note too that the composer that's listed on Sonic Retro doesn't line up with the composer that was just listed there. So that's another thing we should go fix. Or Sega Retro. Yeah,
I know. I've got a lot. I used to have a Sega Retro to do folder on my computer. This one's good though. It's the drawing portion, which actually replaces the casino stage in the Japanese version. It has, kind of all the basic elements. It's very clearly designed by Americans, though, because the artwork is all very American Sonic. It uses a lot of clip art that was popular at the time. But yeah, you can change the music. And, I mean, I guess I should draw Tails or someone, right? Who should I draw? Let's go to the chat. Can someone throw out what I should draw? We have a question here. It's how much does a Pico go for? No, now people want to buy one. They go for between 100 150, but you could get it for a good deal below that, I'm sure, if you keep your eye out. That's just the buy it now stuff that I've seen. I'm going to draw Sonic kissing someone. So I'm going to start drawing Sonic. And then whoever says who he's kissing, There's Sonic. There's his big kissy lips. And do you think Sonic closes his eyes when he kisses? No. He looks you in the eye. It's kind of like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, where the proportions are all off. There he is. Kiss, kiss. Alright, so anyone in the chat... Oh! Well, someone said draw the ultimate life form, so I guess it's going to be Sonic kissing Shadow. Which I'm sure is a fanfic. Oh, I goofed up. Like, I have to draw the lips first. I actually don't draw characters kissing. So this is a good way to suss out the Rule 34 artists, if they can draw kissing on the first try. Whoa, you see that little glitch?
There's a little tip. Yeah, okay.
All right. He's got like a hair lip, I guess. There we go. All right. Whoa. Yeah, it's kind of glitching out on me. I don't know why. Oh, you see that?
Ooh.
Maybe it's the ultimate life form. He doesn't want to be kissing Sonic. Oh, boy.
Wow.
I guess that's... You know, I don't draw Shadow that much. I just kind of give him, like, little things there. Doesn't he have, like... Isn't that, like, his chest? Yeah, there's Sonic and Shadow kissing. And Shadow's like, you want a hug, too, or no? He's kind of putting his arm out, like, maybe? So,
I mean, how could we get, like, through a stream where you can draw and we're doing, like, Sega stuff where it didn't end up being this, basically? Like, this is the logical conclusion to everything that was going to happen here.
Right. What? Yeah, well, exactly. I wish you could do multiple paint buckets at the same time. Gotta wait, though. Shadows. You see, his eyes are gonna fill in, though. Let's see. Fill that. Let's see. Do we have 10,000 views right now because of this? Let's see. And then... What color are his eyes? There's people who are, oh, he has yellow eyes. Orange eyes or something. There he goes.
This is beautiful. So this is everything that I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, exactly. There's Sonic and Shadow kissing. So, not bad.
We need the printer now. We got to print this out.
Well, let's yeah, if I had the printer, so this is what I was talking about. There's a little Sonic, and then they follow. See, he's following me.
That's really cool.
And you can get rid of them, too.
It's like the Bonzi Buddy.
Oh, wait, there was a heart. Too late. Gotta go back around. He's like giving him a ring, see? He's asking him to marry him.
Oh, man.
And what's cool is you can reverse it, see? And you can even go a little wiggly with it.
Ooh.
It doesn't freeze. Like, you can't go like crazy wiggle, freeze. Let's see what else you can do. You can put Sonic Tails. This is from the character select scene. So he's like, don't look here. No way. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty basic drawing program, but I think the fact that Sonic characters are there makes it kind of fun. And I do like that even though, you know, they replaced a stage with it, they at least did some fun little things like Sonic following you around on the screen.
Yeah.
Like, here's Sonic. Oh, it's hedgehog food. Look, he's following it. Over here. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. So, that's Sonic's Game World. I really enjoy this one just as a game. The coloring program isn't, you know, it's not.
I mean, like, if you all things considered, it actually plays like a game and has a coloring program. That's kind of like a bonus too, right? Like it compared to some of these other ones.
Right, and well, the other one we're going to look at right now is Tales and the Music Maker. So there is one we missed though, which is the Storyware Sampler, and that didn't have a drawing program, and it was basically just like a preview book that was in stores that would show select pages from different games, but I don't think they were interactive. I've had a chance of buying one once for like $100, but I didn't do it, and now I kind of regret it because they're apparently very rare. But this one, Tales in the Music Maker, what can you tell us about this one?
This one's really interesting because this is pretty much a joint effort with everyone involved, right? So this is actually NovaTrade and Real Time Associates all working together, with Real Time Associates handling different kinds of sound drivers and ideas, like for the sound portions of it, and NovaTrade handling a lot of the graphic stuff. So this had like a custom sound engine, all kinds of really cool stuff that eventually led to a lot of the stuff that Real Time Associates uses in later games. But this really is one of the first, bigger musical enterprises for this, and it had a custom sound driver designed by Dave Turner, who was on the Real Time Associates team. So David Warhol wasn't necessarily completely involved, but yeah, there you go. There's the stage. Look at that. You can tiptoe and jump and all kinds of stuff. But the interaction was, it's supposedly, and I'm seeing it for the first time, but reading a little bit about it, like it's supposed to be pretty innovative for what it was at the time in terms of how the sound and everything kind of mixes in with the actual play.
I like how the music changes when you're tiptoeing.
Yeah.
It's all classical music, which is interesting, but I mean, it is Tales in the Music Maker. I kind of wish it had like music from the series, but it's kind of cool. There's elements of Sonic 3 and Knuckles there, I see, with Eggman's ship. There is a pinball machine. Look at that. Let's see, how do we go down? Let's see. There we go. So it's a pinball machine made out of musical instruments.
Nice, and they're using actual music instrument samples. That's really cool.
Yeah, you have to hit the bell. That's neat. Some of the pages though look like modern art. You can kind of see it here. It's like a weird. This looks like modern art too. Like, what is this? Yeah. Like a wall of music, dogs in the distance. Like a rock that you like push around. And then this is kind of like a special... Oh, you know what this is? It's Breakout. And what's really nice about this is because of the controls, it's super intuitive. See that?
Yeah.
Not very fast, though.
They could have made it... I guess it's for kids, though, I guess. I was going to say, like, if they needed to be faster, they don't need to parallax in the background. But
right.
And why is it, like, it's interesting that it's focusing on the sound, but it's not really, like, playing any music here while you do this? Like,
it's music notes, so it's the a whole note, right? Or what is the one where it's 4? Yeah, whole, right?
Yeah, it's a whole note, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't taken piano lessons in a while. So then this next one will get up there. Yeah, so...
Oh, it's so interesting because what it's actually teaching you the lengths of the instrument, the lengths of the notes.
Yeah, so it's a cool little music program. But as far as the coloring, is this like the Sonic Underground guitar? I don't know.
Deep lore. Wait. We're getting into some deep lore here.
Yeah. All right, so here we are. Here's the drawing program. I almost feel like they lifted this page from another one. It seems so similar.
Yeah.
The little dollops, nothing too exciting there.
So one of the things I'm interested to see is if, like, we had some idea of what Real Time Associates are providing, and we had some idea of what NovaTrade was providing. Do we see some kind of intersection with any of the different, like, tools or anything that are in here? because it's developed by both of them, which is really like the only game that is developed by both of them. So it's pretty interesting. I wonder if they combine that, or I know the main focus of this was supposed to be kind of like teaching kids about music, but it's like based on this assumed to be Novo Trades or Real Time Associates like drawing system.
This is the most Japanese-looking Tails I've ever drawn, I think. As an Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog kid, they would always turn out to look more like that. Look at the bird, like the bird of all. What is that? Look at that bird. What a weird bird.
I love that bird.
I never figured out what this camera does. I thought it maybe would animate them, but it really doesn't.
Like if you click the camera and then do something and then click the camera again, like is it like a pause and record feature or something?
Nothing. I don't think it's. Uh-oh. What have I done?
Uh-oh. Look what you gone and did.
Gonna be here a while. But yeah, that's pretty much the drawing program. Not too much to say about it. There's this big background here, but really it's just Sonic, Tails, and this bird. And then there is a guitar here, but I'm trying to click it. Oh, look what I did. I'm not staying for that. But that's Tails and the Music Maker. Not bad. It's always fun to see like them lifting sprites from other games or adapting them for their own purposes. But as far as the drawing program, it doesn't really do much for me. It's very basic. I wish it was more Tails focused too. Like it's cool Sonic was there, but it's Tails' game. So now we're getting into the Berenstain Bears, A School Day. This is the there's only two more after this that have drawing programs. So let's see. Oh, that's cute. She's coloring them in. Yay.
Yay.
All right.
Whoa, be careful there.
All right, so as far as the drawing program, this one was from Real Time Associates as well.
Real Time Associates, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to see, I guess, like different background colors. There's Brother Bear doing the jumping jacks. So there's two different kinds. There's like stamps and then like little coloring blocks of him. And then just three kinds of stamps here. Nothing too exciting. Other characters like the bully, I guess. And then you have the music, and you can change the... Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of... We've gone through so many of these now. This one really isn't doing anything for me. It's very
just
basic.
The same as the It's just like this secondary.
So I'm gonna turn it off. But that's like the basic drawing program that you're gonna see for a lot of the Pico games, and that we have been seeing. And that's I think that's kind of like what Real Time Associates brought to the table, is not too much innovation there. Now we have the Great Counting Caper with the Three Blind Mice, also from Real Time Associates, but I believe this is later than the Berenstain Bears.
Yep.
And Thinking Cap, I'm not sure who they are, but it seems like maybe they'll bring a little extra something. Let's see. I don't think so. I think it's actually very, very much the same. So it does have this, though, like we've seen. Look at that.
That's nice.
You know. So
it'd be very interesting to see any of the outputs from like Real Time Associates or Novo Trade in like timeline order, to see if they're like new innovations, like if you compare one from the very beginning versus one from the very end, like what they were able to bring to the table, what they were able to change. Because it seems like some of these have some features, some of them not features, but I'm sure those guys were trying to come up with new things that kids could do in these games too.
Yeah, it seems like the big thing are these flashing rainbow pens, and then these ones. This is different. I haven't seen one like that before. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then the backgrounds, that turns it into more of a coloring book. You see, so you can do stuff like that. And it actually,
That's
it seems
actually
like
fun.
the lines don't actually mean anything, so it's the object itself. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can make the tray blue, and you can make like the painting guys yellow and the So
that's pretty kid friendly though, at least. Yeah.
it is, yeah. So I mean, it's this is kind of what they bring to the table, and it just I always go back to drawing Sonic. Hey, Steve. So that's the Three Blind Mice. Nothing too exciting there. Kind of forgettable. The last one we have in terms of coloring books is the Lion King Adventures at Pride Rock. And notice, like, every time I put these in, they play. I'm not having to, like, and do a lot of fiddling with it. Picos were built for kids to use. There's you can carry them around, and they are very sturdy, I've found. I've never experienced one like broken outside of the stylus cord being broken.
Yeah, that could definitely go on something.
And
like
I
that.
feel like you could replace this because it might be easy enough, but yeah. So the Lion King. You said this is a Greg Turner game.
Yeah, so this is
music?
done. Or sorry, I wrote Greg. It's Dave Turner rather.
Dave
so
Turner.
This is like so it's done by Real Time Associates, like with their special sound engine and stuff. So it should have a little bit, based on what we saw before, it should have a little bit more meat to it, maybe more interaction and more voices, supposedly.
There's some good music here.
Yeah, hey, that's actually use of PCM right there. It's using the voice channel to make drums. That's pretty cool.
So very similar to what we've seen. You have the coloring characters, you have the stamps, you have the music changing. Here's your stamps. Animated characters. Let's see. Big and little erasers. They don't seem to be working on these though. I guess they only erase pen. Oh, and the stamps. And let's see what else we've got. I don't know. Do you have any? This is our final coloring book. So do you have any anything you want to see drawn that you've always dreamed of seeing drawn?
I mean, that's such an open-ended question. I mean, there's so much beauty in the world.
There is.
Why don't you surprise me? Why don't you give me a present and something
okay.
like really beautiful? Yeah, that's a sound. It's all
Can you
ogre.
guess who it is?
It's all ogre.
It is all ogre for you because it is Garfield. No, it's Shrek.
There he is.
Look at him. He's a little half-lidded, like,
He's had enough of my nonsense.
I've had enough of you. Had enough of you, Steve, for one night. He's giving you the people's eyebrow. Look at that. It's Shrek.
The Shrek.
Rock.
It's like
Rock
the Shrek. Just call it the Shrek instead of the Rock. The Shrek.
Instead of the Rock, it's the Shrek.
It's the Shrek.
I want to give him dark green lips, but I can't. I'm gonna give him kind of. Give him lipstick.
Okay.
There we go. I'll give him. Yeah, there we go. Give him some freckles. I guess I don't know. So yeah, there you go. That's Shrek. But yeah, overall, you're seeing a lot of very similar sort of layouts in terms of. I mean, some of them they just lift the art and just use them for a different book. We did note that when it came to someone like Real Time Associates, they would add these cool rainbow effects later on and like coloring book pages. But based on my little pile I put over here of ones that I really found to be memorable, Crayola, I think, stands out at the top of the pack because it is incredibly innovative with what they present. Mickey, I don't know, there was something about that one that was kind of fun. They had full color backgrounds that you could play around with, and I think just there was a nice selection of stamps for the characters. We have Pocahontas Riverbend Adventures, which didn't do much for the coloring, but it had that really cool pottery. Sesame Street Alphabet Avenue, I think, again, just a good use of the IP in terms of like the stamps and the backgrounds, and it had the mini games, which I don't think we saw any other coloring program do. And then finally Sonic's Game World, which just utilized, again, Sonic characters well and had stamps and things like that. So I think Crayola wins. I think if you...
I think hands down. It's definitely the best
one. If you want to experience coloring on the Sega Pico and actually have a lot of fun with it, then you're going to want to check out Crayola Create a World. Because let's just remind you of how wild this can get. Like, you can do trippy effects, and like you were saying, like, if you... I don't know, like, if you do chiptune music, you could record this or something and then use it as like a background.
Exactly. I've already started thinking about that, because it could be like background, or it could be used for live visual effects too, VFX.
Yeah.
Just you could kind of time it with the music and do all kinds of cool stuff.
You could have someone off. Yeah, you could have someone off screen, like doing like, if it's like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. That would be a really cool performance idea.
There's also a shape tool. Let me see. Let me erase the whole thing. Get the shape tool going.
Oh, interesting thing about this game in particular. This game only has drawing stuff, right? Is there any like story to it? So all the other games try to push a story. This only has a drawing kind of feature to it?
Not really. Well, let's see. So I think it's mainly coloring books throughout the rest of the book. So you can see here it's desert. So it's building a desert setting for us. And then, I wonder... Oh, and then it makes it like a little sticker book. I wonder, though, if we can go back... Look at that. So it is actually a multi-page coloring program, because...
Whoa.
You can go... Let's see. So we're in the field. Mm-hmm. It's showing us all the elements of the field picture. And now I think it's going to go back. I'm not really sure how this... This is why I need the teacher's guide, I guess. But it's interesting. So here's the the fruit stand, the pumpkin stand man. He has all these elements here, and then you click again, and we already had that camel, and here's the stand from the fruit stand. So it builds it for you. Now let's go back to the coloring page. And it keeps it. You see that? So you can build a background out, and then you can go to the coloring page, and you can have like, let's see. Here, I'll erase it all. So you can go back to the coloring page, and then you can have Sonic the Hedgehog or someone like riding on the camel. Hey, like, I'm riding a frickin' camel here. It's like, hey, I'm Rick. I'm Rick from Rick and Morty. Oh, no, Rick. They recast you. What are you going to do? I don't know, Marty. People seem to like our show. It's not actually that great. I think it's a little overrated myself, but, they're not going to cancel us. They're not going to cancel us, Marty. They have 7 more seasons they have to make. So there's the Rick and Morty premiere. But yeah, overall, this one's really cool. You can make squares.
That's like really, really, really much more advanced than some of the other stuff. I mean, we're approaching like Kid Pix or like Microsoft Paint levels with more features that kids would enjoy. I played a lot of clip art programs back in the day on like Apple II and stuff like that, and this incorporates a lot of those cool features from those kind of clip art programs, but also has a lot of like, other cool stuff. Is this letting you type text and enter text?
Yeah. And I want to see if it lets me get away with swears. Yeah, there we go. It just puts it at the bottom though, so this is.
That's what this whole scene is about.
And
you can't drag it or anything. It just kind of goes to the bottom.
I think it just stays there. I think that's the name of the picture. Yeah. See. Ooh, that music really picked up.
Yeah, I think you did something.
So you can. Oh, look at this. So this is the foreground. This is the background. There's like a little switcher. I don't know. Foreground. Background. Oh, look, you can draw under it.
This is like next level compared to any of the other stuff. Yeah.
So there's a foreground background switcher. There is a mirror mode going sideways. And then there's this one, of course. You can make really cool patterns.
And like the other thing too that I've noticed is like the pencil's a little thinner too. It's more of a pixel perfect kind of.
Yeah,
like you can get a little bit more in detail. Yeah, look at that.
There's twos. There's thick and thin, and then there's your basic coloring mode. So yeah, overall, Crayola. I'm glad I popped this back in, because there's more to it than follow me. I don't know what follow me is. Spell me.
Perfect.
Erase picture? Yes. Okay, so there are mini games. Spell camel. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, really cool. Crayola. The games we did not play tonight include Muppets on the Go, Pepe's Puzzles, and Musical Zoo. So I'm just gonna pop Pepe in because I wanna close with Pepe's theme song. I don't know how well you can hear it through the mic, but it's pretty good. Let's check out Pepe. There he goes. Listen. He's doing the moonwalk.
Wow.
You never thought you'd get Michael Jackson in here. But yeah, Pepe's Puzzles is pretty cool.
This is one of the old. This is of the games that were produced by, the other two major houses that were doing all this one. This game was actually produced. It's a Sega first-party game, but the sound design was all handled by Data East, which explains a lot. The composer for this is, for this particular game, is actually worked on Windjammers and a bunch of other arcade games that people know about. So,
oh wow,
the sound is good, and that's probably why. And Data East is known for their arcade games that use lots of aggressive samples. So I'm not surprised that the theme to this game has all that talking in it. That's like it just like checks the box correctly. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very gamey. It's probably after Sonic. This is the gamiest one. Not really any learning, as you can see. And I have to wonder too if Pepe is or Pee-Pee, whatever his name is.
You just call him Pee-Pee.
Is Pengo, right? Because there is a Sega Bowtie Blue Penguin game.
Trying to see if it just do a quick search here.
Find four fish. Oh, I think I'm learning here. I don't like this. Oh, okay. So find a yellow fish with the scale pattern and an XI. There he is. He's there. Oh, this is actually kind of difficult. All right,
Yeah,
yellow,
that's actually pretty visual based.
yellow spots. That one. That one. XI. There we go. Okay. Yeah, this one's pretty fun. No drawing mode, though. I really want to draw with Pepe.
Use the pen. Let's go.
Ooh, will I draw? Let's see. Oh, wait. Turn the pages.
What do you want?
I want to continue. So it says turn the pages. I don't know. Am I looking for him? I don't know what to say. I'm a little lost.
Some of these are super complicated.
Yeah, a little complicated. But yeah, that's Pepe's Puzzles. But yeah, overall, the Pico, from what we witnessed tonight, it is as you can see, it's there's a lot more to it than what you would have expected. Just looking at the drawing programs alone, they did try some pretty fun and unique things. But I think a lot of them did kind of fall into this routine of, taking what works and using it for the next couple of years. So yeah, that's the Pico. I'm glad I could get this all set up. It didn't take too long to set up, so I'd love to do it again, with or without you. Maybe I'll just jump on someday and just stream some more of the games. I do have beneath this big pile next to me a Donald Duck fishing one, so I think I'm going to bust that one out another time. And I also have like a bunch of, I'm trying to see, oh here. So someone was asking if Pepe's Puzzles, if I have the manual, and I actually believe I do. I have the box for it. So let's see here. This is going to be hell cleaning up later. But yeah, so here's the box for Pepe's Puzzles. Let's see. Yeah, all right. So I have the Parent's Guide. Let's see. Real-Time Associates. Sega credits. Keith Higashihara. I don't know. I don't think I can show it proper. It's too small. There was an educational consultant, someone named PJ Robinson. So they did have someone on staff helping out there. Slide puzzles, painted puzzles. So, yeah. Pepe. Yeah, any closing words on the Sega Pico?
I think it's one of those things did I just freeze here? Oh, there we go. Sorry. I think it's one of those things that it's like kind of it's interesting because it wasn't a big deal here. Japan had over 200 titles, so there's a whole unexplored frontier from perspective of what you could actually do on it in terms of games, because pretty much all of the library of what we have is drawing games, right, and storybooks. So what kind of other innovative things? I mean, they had 200 titles, so what else were they doing with it, right? That's kind of something that if you look, there's just no documentation about anything when it comes to that. So I'm very curious to see when you get towards the end of its life, how far things were pushed. I mean, there's even a freaking Pokemon Pico. Like that was packaged. It's a Pikachu one. And
right.
When we had a tie-in with Nintendo at some point with this, like that's how long the Pico kind of persisted in terms of coming up with these things. So it's always something that when from terms of audio, which is where I usually sit, I've always wanted to know more about it. It's just like one of those things that's hard to get into because I'm sure there are thousands of dollars for just these cartridges, and they might not have anything on them. A lot of them aren't even dumped, and we're not even documented. There was no guidebook to document everything. So I was coming across undocumented Pico games as early as earlier this year because there was someone posting
pictures of something that they owned, and in the background I saw some Pico games. I'm like, well, what are those? Can you take pictures of them? Sure. And I was like, I've never heard of that one. No one's ever heard of that title. Please take pictures of the box front and back, and yeah, it's just wild that we're still discovering games, and they're so mundane. It's like a Korean Pico game called Old MacDonald's Farm, but it's like no one knew that existed until you called it out in your like Twitter post. But yeah, it's a very unexplored piece of software library. It's just there's so many games that no one's ever actually documented. It's not surprising when I see new ones pop up. So yeah, it's a new frontier, the Sega Pico, in terms of archiving, because it seems like no one really cares to go the extra effort to do that, because they put Saturn and Genesis and other things above all else. But I don't blame them. But still, it's like,
it's also just availability of some of the stuff too. We pay a lot of money for Saturn games, right? That we want, but like there were tens of thousands of these games made, right? Hundreds of thousands, and even for some of the more expensive titles. Like how many copies of that Korean Old MacDonald's Farm game were ever made?
Right.
Like it's not like going to be a common occurrence. And so that's when things get a little interesting. It's kind of like when you look at the SG-1000, and the computer equivalent of that. There's a whole active community of software for that system in Australia, right? And it was actually used in schools, and it was pretty successful there. But I've never even heard of a single title that is particular to that system in Australia, even though there's said to be 250 or so different kinds of games and things that people were doing. So it's some of this stuff it's just lost with time, because it was a fad. It was something that no one super cared about. When I was in Tokyo, I saw lots of Pico games, but I didn't even know what they were. It was just like, why are these big giant like boxes like all stacked over here that say Sega on them? I'm like, I was like, it's like if I ever wanted to go and bring them home, I'd have to bring like 2 suitcases, because they're huge. Like the whole, like they come in those bigger like containers or whatever, the plastic ones. But yeah, it's just such an uncharted ground, and interesting, because like from perspective of music, Furnace Tracker is a new system that a lot of people are using on our side, to make music. I'm curious to see if anyone's come up with a VGM encapsulation of that. Basically, could and this is another whole funny thing. Could we actually write Pico music and play it on a Pico? That would be pretty cool.
I'm certain you could.
And I think there might be a way to do it. Yeah. So that especially because of the cartridges and a couple different things. So that's what goes through my head, though. It's like this system has that potential. And for the perspective of doing some kind of visualization or visual art, it definitely has. There's some really cool stuff you could do with it. I think that should be like. There should be people talking about that part of it. Yeah.
Right. And, if people watching this do want to pick up a Pico, which is kind of hard to say, do want to pick up a Pico, Pico, they can check them out on eBay. There actually are, a lot of people don't test them because they don't have the power cord, or they don't have very basic video cables. All you need is it's mono. So you're going to have, one audio channel. It's super basic. But you can use any one. They actually came with, and I have it somewhere, there's a dedicated like video cable for the Pico that's insanely long, so you can sit across from your room. As far as the power brick, you just use the same one that the Game Gear uses, which I think is also used by the 32X. I could be wrong, but it's the yellow one.
I think that's the MK1602, I believe. The one with the yellow knob on it, right?
Yeah. So it's very easy to source those things, but you're going to find people on eBay. I'm looking at one right now, untested for $40, but it's in great shape. And another thing you should look for is that, and you can see here on mine, you're going to want to look for the ones that have this, I guess this is screen printed on the outside, because this is what's going to give you the original Sega hardware. It's the ones where it's the logo is molded into it, and it's kind of a slightly different logo. That's the one that was made in Mexico by
Majesco,
exactly. And
yeah,
Majesco
the people who made the Genesis 3, basically.
Right. Yeah, some Majesco hardware is not as good as the original stuff, but I do think their Game Gear is a step up because it has a better screen.
There's one of the Genesis 2 models was made by Majesco, and it has a gray logo on it. The Genesis logo is actually gray instead of white, and a lot of audio aficionados like that particular model for its audio. It has a very punchy kind of drum set on it, which is a little different. It's like I didn't even know that they made this. One of my friends was just like, "Yeah, if you ever see a Sega Genesis 2 with a gray logo instead of a white logo," I'm like, "Well, this one's gray." He's like, "Okay, then you have a Majesco model." I'm like, "I didn't even know that that there's like that they had to make it slightly different." But yeah.
Speaking of music, tell the people what you recently worked on. There was a pretty big game that you contributed music for, correct?
Yeah. There's more details are going to be coming out, but I just a bunch of different other games I'm working on. But the big one right now is that they're doing the expansion for Bloodstain, and they're doing the new classic mode, which features Dominique from the Bloodstain series. So I and a bunch of other composers went through and did music for it, which is amazing because like Bloodstained is the spiritual successor to Castlevania. So to be involved with Castlevania, the spirit, like literally being hired by that company, like 505 Games, and to work on all this stuff is really cool. There's a lot of surprises in the soundtrack, and a lot of people that worked on it. They've all kind of revealed themselves, but the pairings are very interesting, and I'm hoping that once we get a little closer to launch, that I can share some of that information, especially some of the people I worked with. Hint, they're people that Sega people would probably be interested in. That's all I'll say.
Cool.
Especially the one track in general.
Nice.
But
okay.
It's going to be really fun. It was like a nice, real fun experiment, and really just amazing to work with like Igarashi and other people on a game from a franchise I love. So it's pretty
nice.
It's pretty
and
amazing.
you're on Bandcamp as well, correct?
Yeah. apoc.bandcamp.com is where you can find my stuff. I have a lot of my soundtrack work up there too, and whatnot. So
AP0C, correct?
AP0C. Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, hey, Steve, thanks again for jumping on to talk Pico as I draw. I hope the people watching enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed drawing. But it really was also kind of a test bed to make sure I could get this sort of setup going where I could play some of my classic games right off the screen. But for the future, I would really like to do a show where I bust out the Pods, which is not even a video game. It's like a weird motion sensor puzzle game from Sega. And then I also have some other wacky things like the Leapfrog Didge. I have one of those, which has a Sonic game on it. And then there's also the IR7000 Communicator, which is a little Casio that has some games on it. So yeah, lots of weird and wild things like printers and Picos. So would love to have you back for more deep dives into some weird hardware from Sega.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, as far as other programs that are out there right now, we have part 2 of the unreleased Dreamcast games tier list. It's 2.5 hours of George and I going through 90 unreleased Dreamcast games, and yes, that's part 2, so part 1 is 130 games that we went through. So I feel like between those two and this, I've kind of had my fill of cramming a bunch of games into like close to 2 hours of video and audio content. It's going to be nice to just like play a single game again. But yeah, that'll do it. Thank you everyone for joining me. Thank you, Steve, for hopping on. And we'll see you on the next episode of the SEGAbits Swingin' Report Show. Bye!